and welcome into Season in Review. I'm Tori Petry alongside Twentyman and Mike O'Hara here in Allen Park. We are running through a review of everything that happened in the Lions 2019 season by position groups. So we went through the offense, and today we are going to talk about that defense. There was so much hype about this defense coming into the 2019 season. Lots of high expectations. It was the second year under Matt Patricia. They brought in some big free agents, signed some guys, especially along the defensive line, that we thought were really going to be some impact players, but it didn't quite turn out to be what everyone had hoped.
No, I'd agree with that, and I think maybe we might agree on this, but all through the offseason program and training camp and the preseason, I kept thinking, your best defensive players are rehabbing. They're not getting ready to play football, and I think it showed right from the beginning when they faded in the fourth quarter against the Arizona Cardinals and got a tie, and just I don't think it ever really fired the way they thought it would, especially in terms of sacks and the run defense. Really, I thought they'd pick up where they'd left off, and they just never seemed to.
Disappointing.
Yeah.
I think that's the word. Just disappointing all the way around, all three levels, all the way throughout the year. I think to Mike's point too, when guys like Trey Flowers miss all of training camp, Mike Daniels miss all of training camp, and Trey, even admitted early in the season that he wasn't quite back to the guy he was. That didn't happen until maybe the second month of the season, 6 games into the season. And then I think he was the player they thought he'd be.
I think he was,
He was really good at the end of the year, but it all led to those slow starts, and just for whatever reason, Lions just couldn't get things rolling on defense.
Yeah, and they didn't sign him to be J.J. Watt. They signed him to be Trey Flowers, and that's who he was, and I think that was okay. But really, you look at the statistics, and it's just 30th in this, 29th in that, 28th in that. It just never was a top-flight defense, and that's reflected to me in the sacks and the turnovers. They just didn't create any havoc up front, and force the secondary to just cover forever, and you cannot do that in the National Football League, even against rookie quarterbacks.
Playmakers. That's what great defenses have. They have playmakers. They have guys that get to the quarterback. They have guys that get you in bad down and distance situations. They have guys that get hands on footballs. They have guys that create game-breaking turnovers. There just wasn't enough of it all the way through on all three levels for Lions defense.
And you look at some guys like Jared Davis, had 6 sacks last year. Hurt this year, had 2. Romeo O'Hara went from 7 or 8 down to 1. That's an awful lot of production to lose. It really is.
Well, the Lions made some changes on their defensive staff just after the season ended. Changes across the board, but we'll discuss the defensive changes right here. I mean, moving on from their linebackers coach and their defensive backs coach, we haven't touched on those two position groups yet, but those ones didn't live up to what people expected either.
No, once again, 7 interceptions for the season. Wasn't that what they had last year?
Yeah,
7 and 7. Yeah, the Magnificent 7 isn't magnificent, and it's. They've got really a Pro Bowl cornerback there in Darius Slay. Somebody else should be making a play. I think a couple of the young guys, Will Harris and Amani Oruwariye, said it right. How about that?
Good job.
Hold the applause.
Try.
But I think they showed something for the future. But in other words, there were learning pains and things to overcome while they were playing. But just in any way, shape, or form, not good enough.
I think in that back 7, one guy you've got to be excited about. At least I am. I think he's going to be a pretty good player. Is Tracy Walker. I think he showed some things in terms of tackles. He got his hands on some footballs, dealt with some injuries, as did, it seems, everybody. But I think with Darius Slay and Tracy Walker, you've got 2 good guys back there. And now you need somebody else to step up. You need another safety. Like mentioned Will Harris, he's got to take a huge step. Amani Oruwariye, he's got to take a big step. So, I mean, now you've got 2 guys, established playmakers, did some good things. We'll see. Obviously, Darius Slay's under contract next year, but we'll see if he gets an extension or what his future is. But they just need 1 or 2 other guys to kind of step up and be a guy.
And when we do our rookie report, we'll talk about Jelani Tavai, but stay tuned for that one, okay?
Well, and you mentioned the linebackers.
That's sort of a tease.
You mentioned the linebackers, too.
That's a tease.
Nicely done.
Jared Davis, Jelani Tavai, Christian Jones all ended the year on injured reserve. Those are your 3 starters. You didn't have them. I mean, you were down to backups. And, that's just in this league, you expect – and you pay guys, and you play them, and you develop them, and they're starters for a reason. And it just across the board, I think Tavai did some good things, but it just as a unit, collectively, it wasn't enough from the linebackers.
But it opened the door for Anthony Pittman of Wayne State to step in and dominate the last game.
Shameless plug. What a shameless plug, Mike.
I'll sing the
In
fight
case
song.
you didn't know, he might have some Wayne State connections.
Shameless.
Here. Well, guys, that's a good look back at what happened on defense in 2019. I'll take just a second to look forward. What needs to happen for this defense to live up to what everybody wants it to be?
The pass rusher and needing a pass rush. And look, Trey Flowers had 7 sacks, I believe, is what he ended up with. And that's right along where what Trey does. He led this team in quarterback hits and quarterback hurries. He was the Trey Flowers they thought they were getting. I think I agree with Mike in that. But you need somebody else. It can't just be one guy, I think Devon Kennard had 7 sacks as well, but it was a mixed bag. I think it was you got 1, and then you maybe win a couple games without, and then you got 2, and you win a couple games without. It was a little bit inconsistent. And I think he's a good player, but I think you need one more elite pass rusher, whether that's a number 3 pick or you go out in free agency and spend some of the money that they have. I just think you need to bookend somebody with Trey Flowers. They've got to get some kind of pressure. They think Hand coming back will allow, get that pressure up the middle. Which they didn't have either. But you just need, I agree with Mike, you need one more pass rusher. You need somebody that can get after the quarterback and make plays.
And also, you alluded to the staff changes they made defensively. I think you also might want to look at the system you're playing, and you might want to tweak a little bit. It's tough to play man coverage to begin with. It's almost impossible when you're not getting to the quarterback. So I think they've got to look at some of that too. And I'm not talking about, look, you've got to have a way you play. You really can. You just can't just say we're going to play a 3-4 this week and a 4-3 next week and whatever. You've got to have a way you play football in all 3 phases of the game. But I think that's something that they really have to look at real hard, how they play the game.
Well, to your point, the Lions have the number 3 pick in the draft, so maybe they do pick up a defensive playmaker. We will see what happens with that. Of course, Tim, Mike, and I will have plenty of coverage on the draft when it comes time for that. But right now, we are looking back at the 2019 season. This was the defensive version of our season review. We will be back with more on special teams and rookies in just a while. From Xfinity Studio, I'm Tori Petry.